Have you ever wondered what your life would look like if, for the first time in a very long time, you truly took control of it? Not just moving through your days, but living every choice with intention, every decision with purpose, and waking up every morning knowing exactly why you're getting out of bed. Because there's a huge difference between being alive and truly living. And most people don't realize it until they look back and feel like the last few years flew by. Without even noticing, you slip into autopilot. You spend more time reacting than choosing. You live trying to meet other people's expectations, trying to control everything around you, and little by little, you stop taking care of the one person who needed your attention the most, yourself. Then comes that kind of exhaustion that's hard to explain, the feeling of always being busy but never fulfilled, of starting over countless times, only to find yourself stuck in exactly the same place. But today, I want to offer you something different. Not another list of advice, not another inspiring theory. I want to invite you to adopt a new mindset, to live like someone who knows their own worth and has decided to stop working against themselves. That's exactly what the Stoics discovered more than 2,000 years ago. While most people were searching for recognition from the outside world, they were learning to build within themselves the one thing no one could ever take away: presence, clarity, and inner strength. Because when you can't find stability within yourself, you end up looking for it in places where you'll never find peace. And that's where anxiety, frustration, and that constant feeling of emptiness begin. The good news is, this transformation doesn't require a perfect life. It begins with one simple decision made right now. So before we go any further, leave a comment, not as a wish, but as a commitment. I choose myself first. Hold on to that sentence, save it on your phone, write it on your mirror, or put it anywhere you'll see it every single day. Because sometimes the biggest change in our lives begins the moment we stop abandoning ourselves. And by the time this video is over, you won't have just learned a few new ideas. You'll see your own life in a way that makes it much harder to keep living on autopilot. The first lesson is the illusion that blinds us the most, the illusion of recognition. You don't notice when it begins, but many times we live with our hands stretched out, waiting for a sign of affection, a compliment, a like, a simple, "Now you're on the right path." And when it comes, it brings peace for a few moments. But that feeling doesn't solve anything. It only creates a greater need. Because what once felt like recognition turns into dependence. The more you seek approval, the further you drift away from yourself. It's like walking into a house of mirrors. You see yourself everywhere, but you can't find who you really are. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that has echoed through the centuries with remarkable simplicity. Do not depend on the admiration of others, for it changes like the wind. That isn't just a philosophical reflection. It's a direct warning. When you build your identity on other people's opinions, it's like building a house on the shoreline. With every wave, a little more of it is washed away. The illusion of recognition is born from something deeply human, the desire to belong. Since ancient times, being accepted by the group meant survival. But the problem is that in today's world, that instinct has been distorted. Now, validation doesn't come only from the people closest to you. It comes from numbers, likes, comparisons, and glances. And, without realizing it, you begin shaping your choices, not around what truly matters, but around what will be approved. And that's when the most dangerous trade happens. You stop acting from truth and start acting for a reaction. And the worst part? Almost no one notices. Because when you depend on recognition, you're not living your life, you're negotiating who you are. The truth is simple: other people's opinions are unstable. Today they applaud you, tomorrow they ignore you. And many times it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their day, their emotional state, with whatever they're carrying inside. Meanwhile, you keep adjusting your life around all of that. But your true self doesn't change with the wind. It has to be built in a place where other people's opinions can't reach. Epictetus, who was born into slavery and still remained inwardly free, said, "You become free the moment you stop seeking the approval of others, because no one can control someone who doesn't need to be accepted." This is a truth few people have the courage to face. If you live to please everyone else, you'll always end up abandoning yourself little by little. You weren't born to fit into someone else's mold. You were born to grow from the inside out with strength, even when there's no applause, even when no one is watching. Think about a tree growing in an open field. The wind hits it from every direction, but it doesn't negotiate with the wind. It doesn't ask for permission. It simply grows with deep roots, with purpose, with presence. Be that tree. Keep growing, even when no one is watching. When you stop seeking validation, you become freer to fail. And it's precisely that freedom that accelerates your growth. Because you're no longer trying to protect an image, you're building something real. Recognition stops being a necessity and becomes a consequence. You stop chasing applause and begin building something solid enough for it to come naturally. But when it does, it no longer changes who you are. And this is where the real turning point happens. You stop asking yourself, "What will people think?" and start asking, "Does this make sense to me?" And that changes everything. So remember this: the more you need other people's approval, the further you move away from yourself, and the more grounded you become, the less you need anyone's approval. Now do something simple, but different from what you're used to. Think of one decision you've been putting off, not because you're uncertain, but because you're afraid of being judged, and make it without asking for opinions, without announcing it, without waiting for validation. Just decide and stand by your decision, because that's the moment you stop being someone who seeks recognition and start becoming someone who no longer needs it. And it's at this stage of your life, when you stop seeking approval, that you realize you also need to stop getting lost in distractions. Because there's no point escaping external validation if your mind is still available to anything that demands your attention. Have you ever noticed how much of your mental energy disappears into things that leave nothing behind? Every notification that interrupts your train of thought, every endless scroll, every video you don't even remember afterward. Doesn't seem like a big deal, but little by little it empties you. And before you realize it, you're not tired because of the day. You're tired because you've scattered yourself across everything. The philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote something that remains incredibly relevant today. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. That isn't just advice, it's a diagnosis. Because here's the point almost no one is willing to face. There are no high-quality thoughts in a mind that's constantly being interrupted. If your attention is fragmented, your life will be fragmented too. Every distraction is like an invisible thread pulling your mind away. If you don't cut those threads, one day you'll find yourself completely disconnected from yourself, from your goals, from the present moment. The problem is that distractions don't shout. They whisper. They settle in quietly like weeds that keep growing until they suffocate what truly matters. At first, it seems like just a short video, a quick look at your feed, a casual conversation. But before you know it, you've spent hours living someone else's life and forgotten to live your own. Too much time consuming and not enough time creating. When the mind loses focus, it doesn't become lighter, it becomes shallow. And it's in that shallow mind that anxiety, confusion, and that constant feeling of being busy, yet going nowhere, begin to grow. The Stoics understood something simple. Without attention, there is no direction. And without direction, anything can lead you anywhere. So take an honest look at your habits. What do you do every single day that drains you but never helps you grow? Endless scrolling, content that leaves you restless, conversations that go nowhere, drama that isn't even yours. That's not harmless distraction. The Stoics would call it a conscious waste of energy. And every time you don't choose where your attention goes, someone else chooses for you. And here's the most important point. Discipline isn't rigidity, it's protection. It's deciding what you allow into your mind, and more importantly, what you no longer allow in. So let's make this practical. Starting today, make one simple change. 1 hour before bed, put your phone on airplane mode. No exceptions. No, I'll just reply to one more message. No, I'll just check one more thing. Cut it off and use that time differently. Sit in silence, organize your day, write, reflect, read something that helps you grow, or simply spend a little time without any stimulation at all. At first, it will feel uncomfortable. Your mind will crave distraction. Your body will want to escape. But if you stay with it, something begins to return. Yourself. Because presence doesn't appear in the noise, it appears in the space you choose to protect. And remember this, either you control your attention or your attention will be used against you. And in the end, it's simple. If you don't control what you consume, you'll spend your life being consumed. Lesson 3. The muscle of willpower. Have you ever noticed how there are days when everything feels easy and others when even the simplest things feel heavy? Getting up, getting started, keeping going, sticking to your plan, everything turns into a silent negotiation. And that reveals something simple. Your willpower isn't fixed, it's trained, and like any human ability, it can be strengthened or weakened through use. The philosopher Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." That sentence captures the heart of the problem. The freedom you're looking for isn't outside of you. It's in your ability to act, even when you don't feel like it. Willpower isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you practice. Think of it like a muscle. At first it gives out, it wavers, it gets tired quickly. But every time you do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it, you make it stronger. Every decision matters. Getting out of bed when the alarm goes off, pushing forward when you feel like stopping, ignoring the urge to escape, that's training. And here's the most important part. The training doesn't happen when it's easy, it happens when you want to quit. Imagine someone who decides to go for a walk every day. On the first day, it's easy. By the third, it starts to feel harder. But by the fifth, the mind whispers, "You don't have to do it today." That's the exact moment that defines who you are. Because when you give in, you weaken the pattern. But when you keep going, you build your identity. You don't need to trust your willpower, you need to reduce the space for decision-making. And this is where what I call a decision trigger comes in. You decide ahead of time, so you don't have to decide in the moment. For example, when my alarm goes off, I get up. If I pick up my phone in the middle of work, I put it right back down. If I feel like putting it off, I start anyway. No debate, no excuses, no negotiation. Because when you wait until the moment to decide, your emotions win. But when you've already made the decision beforehand, all you have to do is follow through. And that changes everything. Because you're no longer fighting the impulse, you're following a rule. And well-defined rules are less exhausting than making the same decision over and over again. Every time you have to decide all over again, you create space for doubt. And wherever doubt enters, willpower grows weaker. The Stoics understood this with remarkable clarity. They didn't rely on their mood or their motivation or the emotional strength they happened to have that day. They built internal rules, clear principles, decisions made in advance. That's the framework of Stoic thinking you can apply to your own life. Decide first, so you don't lose yourself later. Shrink the battlefield. Think of an archer. He doesn't shoot arrows in every direction hoping to hit something. He chooses one target, locks his eyes on it, and stays with the shot until he hits it. Your willpower works the same way. When you try to change everything, you spread yourself too thin. When you try to do too much, you lose your way. But when you choose one direction, you begin to build yourself. So keep it simple. Choose just one thing, something small enough to do but important enough to keep doing, and turn it into a pattern, not an attempt, not a vague goal, but a rule, because there's a clear difference. People who merely try, negotiate. People who decide, stay committed. And every time you break a promise you made to yourself, it's not just a failure, it's your own word losing its value. But every time you keep that promise, even when you don't feel like it, even when it's uncomfortable, something begins to take root inside you. Confidence. Not the confidence of someone who talks, but of someone who follows through. Today, you're going to choose one habit to repeat and pair it with a trigger. A clear moment where there's no room for doubt. When that moment comes, you don't think, you act. That's exactly what strengthens the muscle of willpower. It's not intensity, it's consistency under resistance. It's when you don't want to do it and you do it anyway. It's when your mind tells you to stop and you keep going. Willpower doesn't grow when you finally feel ready. It grows when you stop waiting to feel ready. In the end, it all comes down to one simple choice. Either you keep arguing with what needs to be done, or you become someone who no longer negotiates with yourself. Lesson 4. Stop feeding what doesn't matter. Imagine a scuba diver. He could be in the most beautiful place in the world, crystal clear water, the perfect scenery, but if he's running out of air, none of that matters. The dive is over. That's exactly how your emotional energy works. You can have great ideas, great people, great opportunities, but if you're drained on the inside, none of it lasts. Your mind freezes, your body feels heavy, and even the things that once felt good start to wear on you. The problem is that almost nobody pays attention to this invisible air. They slowly spend it on meaningless conversations, on worries that solve nothing, on distractions that only take up space. And before they realize it, they're reacting worse, thinking worse, living worse, not because life got worse, but because they ran out of the energy to deal with it. It wasn't your ability that failed you, it was your emotional oxygen. Epictetus said, "What matters is not what happens to you, but how you react to it." And every unnecessary reaction is like releasing air from your tank at the bottom of the ocean. You don't notice it right away, but you're shortening your dive. And here's the most dangerous part. Real exhaustion doesn't come from what's difficult, it comes from what's useless. Because what's difficult makes you stronger, but what's useless drains you. And it almost always shows up disguised as urgency, curiosity, or just a little longer. But in the end, it takes you nowhere. Protecting your energy isn't about escaping the world, it's about stopping yourself from giving it away to everything. Not every conversation deserves your attention. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every bit of noise needs to become a conflict inside you. Some people drain you just by being around. Some topics seem harmless, but leave you feeling heavier afterward. And there are small habits, almost invisible ones, that slowly steal your energy without you even noticing. Open text conversations that you keep replying to all day, even when you don't need to. Instagram accounts you follow that add nothing to your life, yet you keep scrolling through them. Long voice messages you listen to out of obligation. Arguments you keep going just because you don't want to be the one to end them. And the worst part isn't the time they take, it's how empty they leave you. So pay attention. After certain interactions, do you feel lighter or more weighed down? When you wake up and reach for your phone right away, do you feel more present or more distracted? After some conversations, do you feel better or completely drained? If it exhausts you, it's costing you more than you think. And the diver who loses air because he wasn't paying attention is the same diver who has to surface too soon. And the one who surfaces too soon never reaches the deepest part. Don't do that with your life. Don't trade depth for distraction. Your practice is simple. You're going to make one clear cutback. Choose one thing that's draining you and cut it in half. Maybe it's mindlessly scrolling through Instagram, conversations you keep having just out of habit, or answering every message immediately as if everything were an emergency. You don't have to eliminate everything, but you do have to stop feeding what isn't helping you grow. And every time something tries to pull your energy away, stop for a second and ask yourself, does this deserve my oxygen, or is it just wearing me down? If it doesn't deserve it, don't engage. Because in the end, that's what changes everything. It's not the person who does the most, it's the one who stops wasting themselves. And the person who learns to protect their own air will always go farther than those who spend their lives breathing the wrong way. Lesson 5. The field where growth happens. Now that you've stopped wasting your energy, you need to decide where it's going to grow. Because protecting your emotional oxygen is only the beginning. What truly shapes your life is where you invest it. Have you ever noticed how some people stay busy all day, yet never seem to move forward? They're constantly running, replying, solving problems, filling every minute, yet in the end, they're still in the exact same place. It's like running across a field that leads nowhere. A lot of movement, but no real progress. And here's the idea that changes everything. It's not the amount of time that determines your growth, it's where you place your attention during that time. Because attention isn't just focus, it's the direction of your life. As William James once said, "My experience is what I agree to attend to." Even though those words are simple, they reflect a profound principle that also echoes through Stoicism and modern psychology. Whatever you feed, grows, whatever you ignore, fades away. And without even realizing it, you gradually become exactly what your energy is feeding every single day. Real growth isn't comfortable. It requires you to walk away from what gives you immediate pleasure but builds nothing lasting. It requires you to say no to distractions that seem harmless, so you can say yes to what truly transforms you. And above all, it requires you to accept being a beginner, making mistakes, getting stuck, not being good at something in the beginning, because that's where growth actually happens. So start looking at your life more carefully. What are your fields? What do you do every day that helps you grow? And what do you do every day that only keeps you busy? Is this habit building you up or just filling your schedule? Is this activity moving you forward or keeping you exactly where you've always been? If you're honest with yourself, you'll realize that many things aren't priorities at all. They're distractions, wearing the mask of importance. And this is where things become practical. You don't need to do more, you need to do less with greater intention. Create blocks of uninterrupted focus, moments in your day when there are no distractions, no phone, no interruptions, just you and something that truly matters. It could be learning a new language, studying a new subject, building a project, developing a new skill, or finally finishing something you've been putting off. But there's one rule: complete presence. Because it's never about quantity, it's about depth. Now here's something concrete I'd like you to do. For the next 7 days, choose one field of your life. Just one, something that truly matters if you want to grow. And every single day, invest your time there without splitting your attention. No checking your phone, no getting up every 2 minutes, no dividing your focus, just you and what needs to be done. Then pay attention to what happens. You'll notice something beginning to change inside you. Because your energy will no longer be scattered in a dozen different directions, it will be concentrated. And when that happens, something rare begins to appear. Depth. You start thinking more clearly, seeing more clearly, and staying committed to the things you used to abandon. Because without even realizing it, you've trained one of the rarest skills in today's world: staying. Staying with what matters, staying through discomfort, staying until the work is done. And in the end, that's what separates the people who merely try from the ones who truly grow. Lesson 6. The power of being alone and whole. You have already stopped losing yourself in the noise. Now comes the hardest part. Not losing yourself in the silence. And this is exactly where most people get stuck, because while the noise distracted you, the silence introduces you to yourself. That's why so many people avoid this moment. They fill every hour of the day, start conversations, open another screen, turn something on in the background, not because they need to, but because they're afraid. Afraid to stop, afraid to feel, afraid to hear themselves. But the truth is simple. If you can't stand your own company, you'll spend your life depending on someone else's, and that comes at a high price. Because you start accepting things you never should, just to avoid being alone, simply because the silence feels more uncomfortable. Stoicism teaches that freedom begins within, when you stop depending on the outside world to feel whole. Marcus Aurelius said, "Your retreat is within yourself." And he wasn't talking about social isolation. He was talking about anchoring yourself to something that doesn't rise and fall with the world around you. Being alone doesn't mean withdrawing. It means stopping the constant escape from yourself. It's the moment you stop performing, stop pleasing, stop responding, and begin to discover who you are without an audience. But most of the time, we trade that process for easy distractions, for quiet addictions, for any presence that delays the most important meeting of your life, the meeting with yourself. And the more you avoid that meeting, the more you lose yourself, even when you're surrounded by people. Loneliness doesn't hurt because you're alone. It hurts because you don't know what to do when all that's left is you. But the moment you stop running, something changes. You begin to organize what's been in chaos, to see what was hidden, to clear the space you abandoned yourself. And that's when everything shifts. You stop searching in the world for what can only be built within. Epictetus said, "You become invincible when you no longer depend on what you cannot control." And few things are as unpredictable as other people. Their presence changes, their interest changes, their affection changes. But the person who is grounded doesn't change with them. Being comfortable in your own company isn't a small detail. It's what keeps you from shrinking yourself just to fit in. It's what keeps you from accepting emotional breadcrumbs as if they were enough. And more than that, it's what allows you to build healthy relationships. Because a healthy relationship isn't built by two empty people, it's built by two whole people. Before today is over, don't fill every minute of your time. Leave an empty space on purpose. Don't play music. Don't leave a show running in the background. Don't give yourself anything to steal your attention, just you. And when the discomfort comes, because it will come, don't run from it. Stay. Like a pilot watching the sky, notice the thoughts passing through your mind. Notice the worries taking shape. Notice the urges pulling you away from that moment. That is not just discomfort, it is a reunion with yourself. At first, the silence may feel heavy, but eventually it begins to put you back together. And once you make it through that first wave of discomfort, silence stops feeling empty and becomes your foundation. And remember this, it isn't other people's presence that makes you stronger. It's your ability to be at peace when they're not around. Because once you learn to be alone, you'll never settle for just anyone's company again. Lesson 7. The character you accepted. The role life handed you has become the way you speak to yourself today. And maybe you don't remember when it started, but at some point you stopped defining yourself and started repeating yourself. Someone called you difficult. Someone told you that you weren't good enough. Someone made you feel small, and that didn't remain just a memory, it became your inner script. It became an automatic sentence, a ready-made excuse, the lens through which you see yourself. And the most dangerous part isn't what they said, it's that you started living as if that version of yourself was the only one possible. You stopped trying, adjusted yourself just to fit in, got used to limiting yourself. And that isn't a lack of ability, it's emotional repetition. It's rehearsing the same version of yourself until it feels permanent. Marcus Aurelius warned us, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. In other words, it isn't what happened to you that defines you. It's the meaning you've chosen to keep alive. If you keep telling yourself that you fail, you'll act like someone who's already expecting to fail. If you keep repeating that you're not enough, you'll back away before you've even tested yourself. And here's the quietest and most dangerous part. You don't even notice it's happening. It's like wearing a pair of glasses with scratched lenses. You think the problem is the world, but it's really the way you're seeing it, or like wearing clothes that are too tight every single day until you forget what comfort even feels like. Maybe you've been through difficult things. Maybe you've been criticized, put down, held back. But continuing to repeat those stories is like carrying a vial of poison in your pocket, just in case. In the end, you slowly poison yourself, day after day. Taking back control of your own story doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It isn't empty positivity, it's choosing to stop mentally feeding what has already hurt you enough. You can't control what people said, and you can't erase what you've lived through. But you can decide what will continue to be true inside you. And maybe what is holding you back today isn't your past. Maybe it's the sentence you never stopped repeating about it. Now let's make this real. Today, you're going to make a conscious break. Grab a piece of paper or open the Notes app and write down 3 sentences you repeat to yourself without realizing it. For example, nothing ever works out. I always mess everything up. That's not for me. Now look at those words honestly. Are they facts or are they just repetition? Then underneath each one, write a version that's more truthful and more useful. Not perfect, but functional. I haven't learned how to do this well yet. I can get better with practice. I can learn how to do this. Now comes the part that changes everything. Throughout the day, every time the old sentence shows up, don't argue with it. Replace it immediately. No long analysis, no drama, just replace it, because that's how you break the pattern. Not by trying to erase the past, but by refusing to keep repeating it in the present. And remember this, you do not become what happened to you, you become what you choose to keep repeating. And the moment you change what you repeat, you begin changing the person you're becoming. Lesson 8. Taking the reins of your own life. You've already organized your mind, protected your energy, stopped chasing distractions, faced the silence and questioned your own story. Now you've reached the point that changes everything. Taking ownership of your life. Because sometimes what holds you back isn't a lack of ability. It's something else. It's the weight of knowing that it's all on you. Because the moment you accept that, the excuses are gone. You can't blame time anymore. You can't blame other people anymore. You can't blame the season of life you're in anymore. And that's exactly why so many people back away. Not because they're afraid of failing, but because they're afraid of taking responsibility. Accepting that truth takes more than courage, it takes maturity. The maturity to understand that not making a choice is still a choice, and it's almost always the choice that pulls you away from what matters most. Maybe you're trapped in the illusion of waiting for the right moment, the perfect motivation, the best version of yourself. But real life doesn't work that way. It happens in the middle of chaos, in the middle of uncertainty, in the middle of the mess. And that's exactly where the decision stops being comfortable and starts becoming necessary. Because while you're waiting for clarity, the current is making the choice for you. And it isn't violent, it's slow. Little by little, it carries you away from your values, from what you wanted to build, and from the person you were trying to become. No noise, no warning, just distance piling up. And before you know it, you're living a life you never chose, fighting for things that don't even matter to you anymore, all because you let go of the wheel and let the current take over. But taking the wheel doesn't mean controlling everything. It means being fully present. It means looking at your life and saying, "This is my life, and I'm done living on autopilot." It means stepping out of reaction mode and into decision mode, even without certainty, even without guarantees, even if you're not 100% ready. Because what changes your direction isn't a perfect plan, it's correcting your course, a little bit every single day. Before today is over, make one decision that makes you feel completely in charge of your own life. Make that phone call, go to the workout you skipped, start sketching out your new project, cut out something that's been draining you for far too long. But decide and act. Put your head on the pillow knowing that the problem was never a lack of clarity, it was too much negotiation. And remember this, it isn't the mistake that destroys your life. It's repeated inaction. But one decision can reorganize everything. It breaks the cycle. It restores your direction. It brings you back to yourself. So leave a comment, not as a phrase, but as a commitment. Today, I take ownership. Because in the end, what defines your life isn't how much time you live. It's the moment you stop running from it. Stoic House is where the wisdom of the ancients meets the restless hearts of today. If these words spoke to you, leave a like, share this video and subscribe, so this sense of calm can reach even more people.